I'm going to bring out this first gentleman. I'm not sure whether Robin Williams is a superb comedian and a great actor, or a great actor and a superb comedian, because he is both.
Robin Williams had a presence, not just necessarily on the stage, but also with people who knew him. As both an actor and a comedian, he wasn't entirely playing the roles he was given. It was almost as if the characters were playing him. The crazy, manic, improvised way of performing wasn't scripted. That was just Robin.
And action.
So I said to him, I said, forget it.
No, would you mind please
Pardon me,
turning to the camera?
Excuse me,
Yes, may I help you?
Robin, just do the line so we can get out.
I
Okay?
can't afford everything. For me, this place...
And that's just how he thought 90% of the time. There was never a character he put on that wasn't himself. And I think that ties into why he was so loved. Despite the wacky voices and characters, the manic and exaggerated physical comedy, and the expressive and concerning looks on his face, he was always genuine.
Work hard! Oh, please. Fine, work hard, work hard.
All right. You know what?
Last night you didn't say that.
But before we can understand why Robin Williams was so loved, we have to understand why we love people. No, not in a romantic sense, but rather as a friend. How do we connect with people? That's definitely a loaded question, but I think we can look at it through one very simple concept: empathy. Empathy is when you understand someone on a cognitive, emotional, or compassionate level. Or to put it lightly, you've been there before. It's the glue that holds relationships together, and why we love to find what we have in common with new people. When we form a series of empathetic connections, that's when you might say, hey, I really like this person. Maybe we could be friends. Okay, cool. How the hell does this relate to Robin Williams? I think Robin Williams had created a net of empathy, which caused the audience to almost always connect with him. By utilizing comedy, acting, and his own personality, he made connections to the audience over and over again. The viewer became trapped in this spider web of connections and began to fall in love. The first tactic of connecting with an audience Robin mastered was comedy. As a child, Robin's father was the perfect foil to himself. With his wild imagination and bright sense of humor, Robin made what was dull and monotone into things that were lively and exciting. His father, a war hero and automobile executive, was quite the opposite. The only person who could make his father laugh was Jonathan Winters.
If Jonathan Winters was ever accused of anything, he's got the perfect alibi. He was someone else at the time. When I first saw him before the show, he was still trying to decide whether he to be a drunken Eskimo, the queen of the Vikings, or a doorknob. I'd rather he came out simply as himself to begin with, because when he's Johnny Winters, he cannot be imitated. The wild, wild man, my friend Jonathan Winters.
Winters became a huge inspiration for Robin because he knew that with that style of humor, he could connect with his father. Later in life, he was given the opportunity to work with Winters, which created one of the most dynamic comedy duos of all time.
Here we are, Robin Leach, lifestyles the unusual and funny. We are back at someone's backyard talking louder than anyone we've ever known. Jonathan Winters, I'm wearing a cheap suit, he's got an emblem. Let's watch, let's see what his home is like.
They're all buried over in here. Those people wouldn't do the unusual or buried over there.
Robin's mother, however, had a bright and playful sense of humor.
Yeah, that's delightful.
Yeah, that's the one that drives my father like, that's it, thank you, I'm leaving. I'm not telling you where I'm going. Oh, Mom, you're gonna do this. Oh, no.
She also very clearly influenced Robin in terms of comedy. He felt that this shared laughter was a form of connection, something he could barely find with his father. Robin took this into practice with his stand-up, his movies, his shows, and his life. In fact, he met his wife by joking around with a French accent. He honed the skill of comedy not as a tool of entertainment, but as a means of connecting with people. People empathized with his jokes, and subsequently Robin himself.
Hey, hi, what's your name? My name's Bob Fibber. Bob, what do you do? I'm in artillery. Thank you, Bob. Can we play anything for you? Anything! Just play it loud, okay?
Comedy wasn't the only thing that allowed Robin to connect to his audience. Acting was its partner in crime. Remember, he was a great actor and a superb comedian. He attended Juilliard and pursued acting for a few years. He was cut from the school, but he also spent all his time being a mime. Yeah, that's a real photo. People, however, didn't necessarily connect to his mime gig as much, but some of his more serious roles have become beloved. In Dead Poets Society and Good Will Hunting, Robin played as these flawed characters that were trying to help others. Let's take a look at Sean, for example. Not only does he play this role perfectly, but he does so in a way that makes us understand his pain.
Maybe we need to devote some time to...
Thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. Stayed up half the night thinking about it. Something occurred to me. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep and haven't thought about you since. You know what occurred to me?
No.
You're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Why, thank you.
It's all right. You've never been out of Boston.
Nope.
So if I asked you about art, you'd probably give me the skinny on every art book ever written. Michelangelo. I know a lot about him. Life's work, political aspirations, him and the Pope, sexual orientation, the whole works, right? I bet you can't tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You never actually stood there and looked up at that beautiful ceiling. Seen that. If I ask you about women, you'd probably give me a syllabus of your personal favorites. You may have even been laid a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy.
We connect with Sean because we can empathize with him. He's real. And that's Robin. He didn't play roles he didn't fit. So, with these films, we begin to get a more rounded view of who Robin Williams really was. He was an eccentric, manic, hilarious man, but was also just someone looking to connect with people.
Why are comedians such complex people?
I think that's just that weird thing of what drives you to do it, you know? It's that weird thing of why would you get out on stage and talk about things? And my favorite comedians that I've ever seen were always the most honest, like Pryor. You know, Pryor would be talking about dying and making it funny. The recent kind of embodiment of that is Chris Rock does it, Louis C.K. does it. Talks about really painful things, but he's just talking about his life. And the idea of going on stage and going, I'm going to talk about really painful things, but let's see if you relate to it. And they're complex because I think it's a survival mechanism. You know, sometimes they did it because it's the one way to get laid. Sometimes they did it because it's an outlet. It's, you know, cheaper than therapy. And in a weird way, they said it's these things that are, you know, spinning inside them that they have to talk about.
Robin Williams had an effect on people that could not be replicated. His charisma and charm kept people enthralled in everything he did, yet he had a side of seriousness and loneliness. The day Williams died was heartbreaking, because the world had lost a friend. His audience was his family. They were the people he could finally connect with. The world connected with Robin Williams, but it only went one way.
You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a